Good afternoon, everyone. Let me start today by asking a question that may seem simple, but is deeply important in the age of digital governance. What really happens when you press the power button on your laptop or smartphone? Most of us don't think twice. We open our emails, check our calendars, or access online documents. But beneath the surface, a powerful and unseen force is doing the heavy lifting. That force is called the operating system. Today, we are going to talk about what an operating system does and why every policymaker should understand its role. You don't need to be a software engineer to appreciate this. In fact, as leaders and decision makers, understanding this foundation will help you make smarter choices about national IT strategies, procurement, cybersecurity, and digital inclusion. So, what exactly is an operating system? In simple terms, an operating system, or OS, is the core software that allows a computer or device to function. Without it, hardware like screens, keyboards, and memory chips would just sit there uselessly. The operating system is what brings all the parts of a device together and allows them to work with the software you use, whether that's a browser, a calculator, or a government service portal. If you imagine a computer as a busy office, then the operating system is the office manager. It doesn't write the reports or answer the phones directly, but it makes sure everything runs smoothly, from managing schedules to allocating space and making sure no one gets in each other's way. When you type a report, the OS ensures your words are stored safely on the hard drive. When you open an email, the OS coordinates the work of the network adapter, the screen, and the memory so that everything appears on your screen in a second or two. Now, you may already be familiar with some operating systems, even if you don't think about them. Microsoft Windows is used on many government computers. Apple's macOS powers their laptops and desktops. Android and iOS run almost all smartphones. And Linux, while invisible to most users, runs quietly in the background of many servers, cloud systems, and even public infrastructure platforms. Every time you check a bank balance, track a parcel, or access your city's disaster alert system, chances are you're relying on an operating system to get the job done. So, what exactly does the OS do? The answer can be divided into three core functions. First, the OS manages the hardware of the device. This includes the processor, memory, storage, and input-output devices like printers and keyboards. It's the OS that decides how to assign resources to different tasks, making sure that nothing conflicts or breaks down. For example, if you're printing a report while watching a webinar, the OS allocates memory to both functions and schedules how the processor switches between them. Second, the OS is responsible for running the applications you use. Every app, from your File Explorer to your health insurance portal, runs through the OS. It's the OS that loads the app, keeps it running, and allows it to communicate with hardware. It also makes sure that one program doesn't accidentally interfere with another. This is especially important in public sector systems where many apps may be running in parallel. Think of a tax database, payroll processing, and security monitoring all functioning together. Third, the OS provides a user interface. This is what allows you, the human user, to interact with the machine. Whether that's through icons and windows or through voice commands or typing into a terminal, the OS interprets your actions and translates them into instructions the hardware can follow. Without this layer, using a computer would be like trying to fly a plane with no cockpit, completely inaccessible. Now, you may be wondering why all of this matters to someone in policy or governance. The answer is straightforward. Operating systems form the backbone of every digital tool you rely on to serve your constituents. When a municipality rolls out digital ID cards or a ministry implements a new data management system, those systems run on devices governed by operating systems. If the wrong OS is chosen, or if it's outdated, poorly maintained, or proprietary in a way that restricts innovation, the entire project could suffer, costing taxpayers money and compromising public trust. There are also important policy considerations around openness and control. Some governments prefer open-source operating systems like Linux because they offer transparency, customization, and no vendor lock-in. Others use commercial systems like Windows because of convenience and widespread compatibility. But each choice comes with trade-offs. For example, using a proprietary OS may mean that only one vendor can provide updates or maintenance, which can become costly over time. On the other hand, open-source systems might reduce costs but require more technical capacity in-house. Security is another major concern. An outdated or unsupported operating system becomes a vulnerability. We've seen ransomware attacks cripple local governments and hospitals in other countries simply because their systems ran on old, unpatched versions of Windows. The operating system determines how security updates are delivered and how well the system can resist cyber attacks. When governments procure technology, asking whether the operating system is regularly updated, who controls it, and whether it supports encryption should be standard practice. There's also a fairness angle. Some apps and services only work on specific operating systems. If a government service works only on Android but not on iPhones, or only on Windows but not on older Mac systems, then some citizens may be unintentionally excluded. This disproportionately affects the elderly, people in rural areas, or those with older devices. Ensuring that services are cross-platform and compatible with multiple operating systems isn't just a technical issue, it's a public service obligation. Let me give you a real-world example. In Estonia, widely regarded as one of the most advanced digital societies, the government has built its infrastructure around carefully selected operating systems that enable secure identity, digital signatures, and access to every public service online. Their system is built on open standards and modular design, meaning that the operating system isn't an afterthought, it's a central pillar of the country's governance. To help visualize all of this, think of your computer as a theater. The hardware is the stage, the lights, and the sound system. The applications are the actors performing different roles. But the operating system is the director backstage, ensuring cues are met, lights change on time, and the play goes on without interruption. If the director fails, the performance collapses. That's how important the OS is in our digital lives and in our public institutions. So in closing, the operating system may be invisible, but it's indispensable. It manages hardware, it runs software, and it makes interaction possible. For policymakers, understanding what an OS does helps ensure that public IT systems are secure, accessible, and built for the long term. Whether you're approving a budget for new laptops, reviewing a national cloud contract, or evaluating a smart city pilot, it pays to ask, what operating system is powering this, and is it fit for purpose? Thank you for your attention. I'd be happy to take questions or move into a brief case discussion on how OS choices are shaping government systems worldwide.